Welcome to the jungle. Here we go. I'm excited to do this national overview because Nidvangr is a new and seems to be a very powerful nation with a lot of new tools, new and fun mechanics in Dominion 6. So here we go. Nidvangr, bear, wolf, and crow. What are their national features? They are humans of barbarian descent, partial cold resistance, prefer cold scale 2. They have some stealthy raiding infantry, berserking infantry, semi-mortal sacreds. Now, what doesn't say here is not only that, but they are foreign recruit, almost all of them. So this is very nice. Magic, death, astral, air, nature, water, and some earth and blood. So a lot of good pets and very, very diverse, which I like. Priests, weak, can perform blood sacrifices. Okay. Dominions, cry, accurate and automatic military reports inside Dominion. This is great, especially because when the game starts, you probably want as many Scar Souls on your Nitpathets as possible because the number of Scar Souls they get is half. It says 50% there at the bottom. It's half the dominion of your capital province. So you want to profit your scout and preach right away to raise that level. So when they're recruited, they have more Scar Souls. And each Scar Soul is basically when they die, unless they are disintegrated, soul slayed, petrified, they they can die multiple times. The number of Scar Souls they have. So this HP here is basically multiplied. And there are other benefits like it resets their fatigue, etc. Uh, New mechanic, very fun. So already here we have a good synergy with that because you're not going to have your initial scout to scout, but you have a strong dominion, and you're going to want a strong dominion because why wouldn't you want to recruit these guys? They're great. Even if you don't take a Hellblast, they're great. Um, you can still get scouting info for your expansion, right? Skills and blesses, turmoil limit +1, cold limit +1. Um, okay, turmoil 3 might be interesting. It's an option, and particularly because your Nithpatats don't cost a lot of resources, so you don't necessarily need prop in this nation. The mages and the commanders don't cost a lot of resources. Even this guy who has a relatively has a medium gear, let's say, doesn't cost a lot. But still, my preference would be going for productivity 1, and the max you can go is 1 unless you get some bonus on your pretender because the bear clan are so good and they do cost few. They're not the most expensive unit in terms of resources, but if you want to mass them, they do cost a fair few, especially compared to the recruitment points. So you're gonna be limited there in most provinces. Code limit +1, so you can go code 3. It's an option. You do have cold resist across all the recruits, but it does kill some population on winter when you go code 3. It's not a lot, but still, I don't like that. But yeah, there you go. And building standard forge, Stampo costs 300. This is so good. This is so good for this nation because you want strong dominion. You want your dominion to be strong, and not only your troops, but your mages are foreign recruit too. Not all of them, but the apprentices. Yeah, it says here. Wolf clan can be recruited outside forts as well. Same thing with the bear clan. Same thing with the Sith Brander apprentices. So a lot of synergies right there. Very powerful. And there's even more stuff that we're gonna see. So let's start looking at the commanders. This is your cap only mage. Is 4 recruitment points. So with your standard fort, it's gonna take 2 turns to recruit. Amazing mage, air, astro, and death, and then you can get these paths and blood too, with 1 and 4 2 times and 10% for a third. So very good. Always be mindful because I made a mistake. It's not very unlikely that you'll get an Air 3, and then you only need to empower him once to start crafting the boosters. What I did in the game is I think I already had an Air 3 and I empowered an Air 2 to 3, and then I had to empower it again from 3 to 4. It was very expensive, so always be mindful like you can get that's 4 or Astral Force and you're going to be well you should you don't need to use blood at all if you don't want, but blood is very strong and I think you should be wishing for to get as many blood randoms as possible so you can start building a blood economy. Very good. Now they're old, that sucks, but it's okay. Forest survival, mountain survival, snow move. I think all of the mages have all of these, which makes them very fast. And each of the clans shape changes into a different the mages, right? They shape change into a different animal. In this case, it's the crow. The crow has only 2 miscellaneous slots, but he has a very fast map move and is stealth. So he's great for moving them around. You can even move as a crow, and then your first action can be change shape. And you normally want to start the battle like this. You don't have to because the paths stay the same, but this in general has better stats and you well, for example, most of them you probably want to give them skull staff or to increase their death path. So as a crow, the crow carries that, but it doesn't affect it until it's in a human form again. So you want to start the battle with shape change in most cases, but you don't have to. And also, I think when you have a shape changer form, if he dies as a human, he then reverts to a crow. But I think if he dies as a crow, he dies for real. So you want to start as a human. Sacred has a one holy path too. Amazing mage, very very good. Expensive, but it's worth it. Too bad it's for recruitment points, so you cannot recruit one every turn. And then you have the Scarso commander, the need here. The need here, he has 100% Scar Souls. So he will get 7 Scar Souls, I think. And once you preach up as much as you can, your home province. Um, and this makes him very powerful. He doesn't have good gear. He has the scale mail cuirass made of iron. It's almost no protection, but good stats otherwise. So that sacred too, so it takes your bless. So that makes them for a very good thug chassis. I mean, good in a sense that a non-mage thug chassis, because mage thug chassis generally tend to be better because they can self buff, etc. It doesn't have a lot of leadership, but does give inspirational, so that's nice too. But I ended up recruiting a few of these to well, we're gonna see in the game, but basically to carry great swords of sharpness to attack an enemy super combatant. But I found them to be very good thug chassis in general. The only problem when you can get one every turn from the capital. The only problem with them really is that they compete for capital command points with your crow clan, and you want to get as many as possible throughout the game. Yeah, every 2 turns you want to be recruiting a new one, and this should be your priority, in my opinion. And the other two clans, now these two are capital only, right? But the Wolf clan and the Bear clan, they're foreign recruit, but not foreign recruit outside the capital in other forts, with outside forts as well. So all you have to do is get any province and you plop a cheap temple because temples are cheaper in this nation and a lab, and you can start pumping these out. But there are two recruitment points. So if you recruit one in a non-fort or in a palisade, which I think doesn't have a command point bonus, you're only going to get one every 2 turns. So don't lose the province. Don't cancel the recruitment and recruit again, and you're going to get it in 2 turns. What's interesting about, well, one of the characteristics of these guys is they don't have random paths. And this is good and bad. It's a trade-off because on the one hand, the paths are good that they have, both of them. Although the Bear Clan in particular really requires boosters to shine. The Wolf Clan can use boosters very well, but it's already good without boosters. Uh, but it's nice. The paths they have are already good. The What makes a mage, for example, if this mage had one water, one nature, and then a random, right? Overall, once you recruit a lot of them for your battles, you would get a bigger variety of paths. So that's better for that case. But also knowing you're always going to get these paths, it's an advantage in itself. And well, the Wolf Clan, the shape change form for this guy, well, he's sacred priest one, snow move, mountain survival, forest survival, map move 18, so great mobility. He changes into a wolf. The wolf will give you a little bit more mobility, but not a lot. And it's not a shape that's going to give you more stats, so there's really not a lot of point to changing these guys into wolves because they're already very fast in most terrains. Um, and they're very nice. They can do moss body out of the gate. Doesn't don't You don't need to give them any boosters. It doesn't cost gems. They can spam quickness. They can also do. I don't remember the name of the spell now, but it's a spell that targets undead. It just costs water. They're great for spamming. Well, any water mage would do that, right? But since they're water too, they're going to do it better for spamming Frozen Heart once you get a high invocation. The Bear Clan. The Bear Clan changes into a Great Bear. This form has a lot of HP, has good combat stats, so you can use him as a thug. Um in my game, I want more scales than blasts, so I ended up preferring to use them as mages for buffing my army. But you're gonna find that without any boosters, there's not necessarily a lot of good things these guys can do because what they can do with nature too is put enlarge on their troops, and that's not necessarily better. It's going to increase their HP a little bit, but and make them hit harder. But it's good for some of the troops, but not all of them. And you're not going to be using the troops that take advantage of this. And even the ones that do, they lose attack density. So it's not always something that you want to cast. With Earth 1, you basically can't do anything. You can only do self buffs. So you're gonna want an Earth Gem or an Earth Booster to cast some Earth Power, which has the nice benefit of giving him reinvigoration. To dance at Earth 2, then you can start, or going from 2 to 3, then you can start casting some Earth buffs. Uh, But if you give him a Thistle Mace, a Nature Booster, they can cast Strength of Gaia and then brings them up to Nature 4, and Nature 4 opens up a lot of stuff they can cast on their own. So they're a great mage, and which one is better? It depends on what you're going up against, what your plan is. And then you have the Seathbrender apprentices. They only get one path. It's random from these ones. They are sacred, but not priests. They do have the same movement bonuses and the snow move and the two survivals the other mages have. They have this in-app researcher too, but if you take magic like I did, this chassis is very worthwhile for researching because 75 gold is very cheap. Is one of the cheapest mages. I think those monkey mages as ones are cheaper, and they'll be even cheaper because they're sacred. So they're very good. They have uses, like the astral ones can be communion slaves, obviously. Um, the water ones can spam frozen heart. Um, you you give the death ones skull staff, they can spam horde of skeletons. The nature ones can't do a lot, but they can cast animate tree in battles in forests. It's a nice spell. The earth ones I think are the worst because they, they they need to get at least earth to be able to do something, or have a gem to cast some other earth power. But yeah, good option. And foreign recruit too. Outside forts and outside the cat. This is your commander with 100 leadership that enables you to give formation orders. Very nice, nothing special, not too expensive. Uh, Good stats. MR not so high, but that's okay. It has the same cold resistance, snow move, monster survivor, so they'll all keep up with each other. Well, this guy's a little slower. There's the Needy Hearse. This guy's a little, as a commander, there's a little cheaper. It's stealthy, and you do have a couple of stealthy units here, the Wolf Weaver clan and the Archer, the Crow clan Archer. So he can lead them into raiding parties, and he's good at pillaging, and some of them are good at pillaging too. But these ones that are good at pillaging are not stealthy, but these stealthy ones are good at pillaging too. So didn't really use that in my game, but it's an option. The reason I almost never use this is because if I'm gonna pillage, then I'm at war, and if I'm at war, what I'm planning to do is conquer. So I already consider the opponent's lands my future lands. So why would I want to pillage my own lands? But there's cases you will want to do that, and it has that you're not paying a lot for this. Unfortunately, the leadership is 75, which is a lot of troops, but it's not high enough to do formations. But yeah, it's nice. It's cheaper to use these guys to move troops around, and not if they're not going to lead them in battle. And then you have the bear clan cub mother. Now, what does this mean? Skirmisher does not suffer a morale penalty when fighting skirmish or sparse line for members. All members of the squad. It's strange that she has this. I thought this would be a unit ability. Yeah, the unit has it. I don't know why the commander needs to have that. But basically, what she does, she takes these guys, which are very cheap, bad troops. They're not good, except that they're cheap and their axe hits relatively hard with slashing. And they can make them from undisciplined to disciplined with this tag, which is, I think it's the only commander in the game that has. It's called Cub Mother. So it says this commander is exceptionally good at leading unruly youngsters, cub warriors, under her command are not restricted to skirmish formations and can be given specific orders. Yeah, the skirmish formation I don't think matters as much as being able to say hold an attack or attack closest or attack rear. This is important, and you wouldn't be able to do that if she's not leading them. She's very, very cheap. So even if you're not using her to organize your cheap cub warriors, and I did make use of these in the expansion. In my tests, I found that at the start I had a lot of more money. It's not that I had a lot more money, right? Because if I was recruiting a crow clan every turn, I wouldn't have every 2 turns. I wouldn't have a lot of money left. But the first turns, I was mostly going for commanders and scouts and cheap mages just to pump the troops out so they could get my lands because I went for scales and didn't have an expander. And at this price, 35, she's good for ferrying around any troops, right? Even better than this guy. Um, Berserk 3. It's nice. It's like almost a little tug because the protection is not that bad. 13 attack, 25 damage, battle axe, 13 strength. That's pretty good. And yeah, and can be recruited outside forts as well. So you with a lot of nations, you're gonna spend your capital command points to recruit mages, and then you're gonna want to get your commanders to move troops around, lead them in battle from indie provinces. Now you have, with this nation, you have the option of using the Bear Clan or the Cub Mother or the Nidhursi, and both have these characteristics I explained. And then there's the Crow Clan Scout. It's, I think, the same price as an indie basic Scout, and it's a little better. And Stealthy 40, which is like basic but has cold resist and snow move and force and mount survival as the others. So very, very good, very diverse commander and mage. Sorry, I had to pause the video there. Very good and diverse commander and mage lineup. Now for the units. The Sacred, the Nithbatad. The Nithbatad is 50% Scar Souls, so gonna take the Dominion score and half it, and I think it rounds up, and that's how many Scar Souls you get. So you're gonna be getting them. Well, my game it was 3, and then after I preached, it was up to 5. So that's great. Like I read somebody put it as you pay for 1 unit and then you get 5 units. It's not exactly like that because he still only has the one attack. It's a good attack, great sword attack, 25 damage slashing, attack 14, great attack, but he's going to have to die to generate that value, right? And cheap on resources, high recruitment points, which is a consideration because you may plan to get a lot of Dominion to pump these guys out, and you might find out that you cannot recruit as much, so you should test expansion to check that when you make your build. And Sacred Code Resist, Snow Move, Mount Survival, Forest Survival, the same kit as the others, so they all catch up. Map Move 14, not excellent, but good. So love these guys. They beg for a good bless, right? But with all these good things this nation has, I was leaning more into imprisoned scales, and that's what I picked. And we're gonna see that in the pretender design video. The Nidova, is that how you say it? I'll just call these girls the two sword girls, I guess. Um, and yeah, well, let's let's discuss first all these three together because well, we already know the sacred's great and you want them, but it's limited by the holy points in the capital. We already know these guys who can recruit anywhere and they're bad and but they're cheap and their undiscipline can be fixed by the commander. Uh, they have archers, which range 35 is not armor piercing. It's like, yeah, okay, it's like an option, but not really amazing. They're stealthy though, so they can complement your stealthy raids, which I didn't use a lot. But if you're going stealthy, you're probably gonna want the Wolf Clan Reavers because they have a nice broadsword attack, a javelin. They have better stats for fighting close quarters, while these guys have only a short sword and even less protection or the same protection. Yeah, even less. These guys have low protection at 9, but these guys have 7. Um, so yeah, these are situational. These are good. Now these three, there are three options, right? So you have ambidextrous, two short swords, formation fighter 2, so you can fit uh, the value indicates the extra amount of size points that can fit in a square. So the squares where only these girls are in, instead of being able to have 3, they can have 12. So it's a total of 4. Yeah, I think that's how it works. So if they're 4 per square with this, provided you don't enlarge them. So if they're 4 per square with this, and each of them have 2 attacks, so you're talking about 8 attacks per square. That's a very high combat density. And the attacks are not bad. They're not the best attacks in the world, but slashing, piercing 16, short sword, attack 12, decent attack. Yeah, I thought, you know what? These are the units I'm going to want the most. And it's not always, well, not really. Actually, when I first looked at the nation, I thought I would want the Wolf Clan Reaver because the Javelin is not that bad. It's good damage. It's going to be more accurate because they're only going to fire when they get closer, and they tend to fire closer than this in real combat. You always have the option of having them go stealth. They are only 11 gold compared to the girls who are 14. So I thought, yeah, like a generalist unit is going to be that. But after I started testing expansion, I thought, well, maybe these girls are better, but they are not foreign recruit, unlike the Bear Clan and the Wolf Clan Reavers. So these you can only get from forts. And from your initial fort, which is your capital, you're not going to be able to get anything more than your sacreds. So only when you have a second fort, you might have the option of picking and choosing, right? And you don't actually need, you can play this nation, like don't build forts at all, only build temples and labs, recruit your additional mages from there, recruit your units from there. You know, if you need resources to recruit the units you want, you recruit in provinces, in mountains, or in other in forests and mountains or other provinces that have high resources. And that's good enough. I ended up building forts too because I had scales and I wanted them for defensive reasons. It's also nice to have the extra command point bonus, but that's one way to play, right? And then you can never gonna have even the chance to recruiting them. But they are very good. Um, what I found is these guys are the most useful ones in general. In general, and they have a few problems right out of the bat. They're the opposite of the the two sword girls because they have bad formation fighter, so fit less units into one square. So normally a square takes 10 size points minus two. The square that these guys are in are is gonna only gonna fit eight. So you're gonna only have two per square. So compare having the girls with eight attacks per square with these guys having only two attacks per square. And immediately you're going to see the difference there, right? That's why initially I would thought I want these, but these guys have some better combat stats, like they have more strength. But do they have more strength? Yeah, they do. And they have more HP. Is that true too? Yeah, that's true too. But they have less defense and they have a lot more protection. Now, 14 compared to 9, that's a big difference because, like, 9 compared to 0, it's good because 0 is just going to get mulched by anything that comes near them. 9 is going to be able to survive some attacks. And when you're talking about going from 9 to 14, now these guys might not take damage from an attack, might take too little damage from an attack. And they're berserk. So once they go berserk, they're berserk plus 3. So their attack strength and protection will increase by this amount. This makes a big difference uh, in these stats. They will hit super hard when they hit, and they will not rout. Um, the gold cost is not bad. It's like cheaper than the girls. So what makes them hard to mass is the resources, which for another nation it doesn't sound as much. 16 resources for one unit, but for this nation in general that has a turmoil limit and that the other troops don't require resources, this can be too much, right? Especially when you're recruiting outside of fort. You don't want to just recruit a commander to get three of them out, right? You want to recruit a commander to get like 10, 12, 12 of them out at least to make a difference in a battle. So I think it's better to go at least productivity one if you want to make use of these guys. Otherwise, they're out of your roster. But if they're out of your roster, you're not out of options. But they're the better generalist. Also, one problem with Formation Fighter is once you get to the point where you get remote castle flames from the sky and the game, the girls will die a lot more because the way these events play out, they simulate uh, like a battle screen, but there is no enemy army. There's just your army, and it's not scripted. It's just the units are there randomly, right? And they're clumped up. So all the girls are going to be clumped up with their formation bonus in one place. They're going to die a lot more. So this, which is undisciplined, bad formation fighter, skirmisher, which is like generally not a benefit, becomes a benefit in this case. Also, Berserk negates fear, negates dread. Um, Awe is going to make no difference from them once they go Berserk. So, in general, these ones have their advantages. Also, one point in favor of the Bear Clan I forgot to mention is that the battle area is so big. If you want to take full advantage of Formation Fighter, you probably want to fill at least the whole line, and you're going to need a lot of units. I never, I think maybe in one of my wars where I could prepare and I could recruit a lot of these girls, I could from forts. Then I could make like one line of them in a battle, which was good. But from then on, when I started fighting in multiple fronts and had multiple armies, it never happened again. So if that's the case, if they're not going to cover the whole map, you're not really taking advantage of formation fighter, I think. So these guys, which initially I looked and said they're the most generalists, they I didn't use them a lot. The first idea I have whenever I see they have a stealth unit and they have a stealthy commander is that I'm gonna elf my opponents. But then I look at my options and say, okay, do I want to spend the money and like the stealth is not that high, it's 40, and risk getting patrolled out and losing the battle? Uh, to try to elf them and not even be sure if I'm gonna win, right? Because the mates, the Crow Clan are stealth in their. Oh wait, I said the wolf is useless, right? But the wolf is stealth too. So yeah, now that I'm saying this, I could have combined wolves and Crow Clan and stealth to raid, but at the early game, the mages I did have, I prefer to be buffing my armies that weren't stealth. So, well, it's not that I didn't use them. I did make like a couple of stealthy parties, and the elfing I did work, but it was like just for one province. It wasn't a core strategy. Anyway, but you can see how cool this nation is and why I was so excited to get my hands on it and play it. They have so many options. Um, I'm just discussing which is better, but they're all good. Um, all right. I think that's it. I think there are a lot more details that we need to go into. Like, for example, what's the kit of the Wolf Clan that you want to give them for, for supporting an army? If you're just bringing one, or if you're bringing several, and how do you want to organize communions when you have them? And how you want to script your armies when you're using these different units. But instead of talking about that in this video, I think it's better to talk about this when it comes up in the game. Um, the site you get is 3 gems, very nice. Air gem, very nice. And 1 pearl, very nice. It's not like the top one in income, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Okay, that's it. See you when the game starts.